Call to order meeting at 6 p.m. Regret. Welcome people that are in council chambers and also people that are viewing live virtually our council meeting. Council Chairman, can you please read the acknowledgement?
Thank you. The Council of the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather here today is the Treaty 9, 1905-1906 territory, the traditional lands of indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples.
Thank you very much. Item number 3, review and note any changes to the agenda. Jennifer, there are none. We'll proceed. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. 4.1. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Shinman, Council Peter Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that council does hereby approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 5, declaration of pecuniary interest, declaration of conflict of interest. I have none presently in front of me, but you could declare any time during the meeting. Thank you. Item 6.1, regular meeting of council, October 2nd, 2024. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Shinman, Council Belinda Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 as distributed.
All in favor? Carried. Item 6.2, special meeting of council, October 8th, 2024. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Belinda Kistemaker, Council Ted Shinneman.
Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the special meeting of council held on Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 as distributed.
All in favor? Carried. Item 6.3, regular meeting of council, October 23rd, 2024. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Belinda Kistemaker, Council Ted Shinneman.
Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024 as distributed.
All in favor? Thank you. Item number 7, deputations, presentations, tender awards, and open discussion. I'd like to welcome Natalie from Porcupine Health Unit, and also Simo from Principal from École Second Nom de Jesus School. The floors are yours, please, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's do it this way. All right, so as everybody knows, I'm Natalie. I work at the Porcupine Health Unit, and thank you for allowing us to present to you today. So what we wanted to present was active school travel. I'll try to speed this up a little bit quickly. So if you do have questions at the end, we do have surveys, we have papers that we can hand out as needed. Of course, you have our mission. This is the Porcupine Health Unit's mission and values.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know what I did now.
Sorry, didn't think I
It's
did
okay.
my papers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've never used this here.
That's fine. Take your time, please.
Yeah, we'll do it that way. So yeah, we did have our missions and our vision at the beginning, just standard across the Porcupine Health Unit. And then the overview, of course, what we'll be talking about today. So what is Active School Travel Initiative? What are the phases? What has been so far on our behalf? Results of the family survey that was distributed, walkabout, and then traffic observations. And of course, our next steps. So all in all, what active school travel is, so basically it's to improve safety and it's to encourage kids to walk and wheel to school. Of course, we know that a lot of parents drop off their kids, and their kids are not walking and they're not active, right? I know we understand that some have to take the bus just because of where they live, but this is our vision with this. All right, and then again, it's a community approach to promote active school travel. Like I said, there are 5 steps. So education, encouragement, engineering, enforcement, and evaluation. It's to address travel-related issues at school and encourage students in the walk zone to walk a wheel, and of course, the ones that are in the bus zone to ride the school bus. Because unfortunately, there's not much we can do for that for the kids that are very little still. So I won't read all of this, of course, but the school travel planning goals are listed there. Go ahead, go past that. And then there are different, skipping ahead, so it's just to make, just so children are healthier. Of course, it's like less traffic and pollution. The other thing as well, it's safer school zones, because there's a lot of congestion sometimes in the school zones. I'm not saying for all schools, but for the school that we are obviously, we observed. And then better academic performance as well for students if they walk, right? Fresh air, all that stuff. So there are, of course, the 5 phases. We are in phase number 4. We are at the action plan. Of course, right now, Simon and I are a team of 2. We'd love to have other people on our team. We're a team of 2 for a lot of things, but it would be nice. And that's why we're here presenting today, to see if maybe we can add some people to our team possibly.
So what has been done so far, we, like Natalie said, we did a survey for our school families, both École Jésus and Holy Name of Jesus, just to have more numbers, traffic observation, a walkabout around the area. Resources sent home to families throughout the school. So throughout the school year, we send packages home to the families about safety, walking, better routes, games, bingos, all kinds of stuff to promote walking to school, biking to school.
Development.
Thank you, of an action plan and toolkit sent to the parents in September 2024. So this year we sent it. So the survey results. A survey was sent electronically by social media, so they could click on the link and answer the questions. Like I said, through our Facebook page, Lori, the principal, because Holy Name of Jesus did the same thing, and that was in spring 2023. So a total of 15 respondents answered the survey.
Which was very hard because there was a lot more students, a lot more parents, but I mean, of course, some have siblings as well too, so we tried our best.
So the results were, out of 15 families, 6 respondents responded that their child or children are not eligible to ride the school bus. The transportation consortium has a certain guidelines for how far you have to be to ride the bus or walk. So mode of transportation used by the participants were school bus 5, walking 4, carpool 4, and no answer. So the Algoma and Huron Superior Transportation Services, junior kindergarten students are always provided door-to-door transportation. Doesn't matter the distance. Senior kindergarten to grade 3 who live beyond a distance of 0.5 kilometers, 0.75 kilometers from their designated school, they walk. Grades 4 to 8 who live beyond a distance of 1.5 kilometers, that's the distance for the bus transportation. That's a guideline for their service. So survey results, reasons why parents picked up their children from school. One was safety, was the biggest issue we had during the survey, especially on 3rd Ave, the speeding, lack of secure crossings for every child walking on 3rd Ave. Time restraints was one. Convenience, before and after school activities, loose dogs roaming around. So some respondents said the dogs were scaring the child from walking, and there were no sidewalks. It was an issue too. Also, measures that would encourage parents to let their kids walk or bike. So crossing or sidewalks was one of them. Reduce traffic volume and congestion in school zone. Others to walk with, so friends or family members. Traffic calming measures in school zone and pedestrian safety training. So those were our results also. During our walkabout, because Natalie and I did a walkabout at school, we observed the traffic pickup in the school zone and the surrounding neighborhood. So we walked around and we saw that on June 6th, 2023, and June 20th, we walked Niso Medina, École, McLeod, and 3rd Ave. So before school and after.
Just around the school,
Yeah.
right? Which is our school area. Yeah, sure. So we just did a map of what we observed during the walkabout. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to see, and it is in French. I apologize, but it is a French school, so everything's usually done in French. But we did see that there was some troubled areas, right? So obviously where the stars are near the school, you have 3rd Ave. We had McLeod, which was a very, very big issue. And you'll see on our pictures down below. And then of course, we had a little bit of Medina as well too. Let me explain it a little bit more. Do you want to do this piece? Okay, so 3rd Ave, again, like we said, speeding, no sidewalks, students crossing the street, there's a lot of traffic. Niso Medina, so there's a lot of congestion in front of the school. Speeding, cars parked on both sides of the street, and the streets are already narrow enough that it gets
Especially in
difficult,
winter.
and especially in winter with the snow banks, of course. Students crossing everywhere, so I mean, we don't have a crossing guard. But I mean, what school really does here, we don't live in a city, but parents wandering in the bus school zone too, so there's a lot of people just wandering all over the place, like it was really out of control when we observed it. McLeod, lots of congestion, that road obviously is even more narrow, I find. Cars parked on both sides of the street, cars trying to turn onto the street while the kids are trying to walk home, which is not always very safe. And then of course, very narrow street, and like we said, especially in winter with the snow banks, right? I know that that's difficult to manage, but of course the streets get a lot more narrow, right? So we do have some photos that we did take. So as you can see, there's a car parked there on the side of Niso Medina. There's kids trying to walk, there's, cars trying to go across, like it's just, it was really crazy to see, honestly. And then with the other images, same deal, and look at here, one car's trying to get through, one's parked on the other side, there's some parked on that side, like they're parked everywhere. It's just, yeah, it was mind-boggling to me. I knew this was happening, but, we want, this initiative here is to get kids to walk safely to school and from school, right? And this does not look safe to me. And then of course in the schoolyard, so you have people, yes, some are teachers, but some are parents. They're walking all over in the schoolyard, the bus is parked there. It's technically the bus zone for that school, and it's just, there's too much going on. The bus is trying to get out, the parents are there, like it's a lot. So that's where the bus parks in the schoolyard, we just wanted to kind of show that. We've had vehicles that are parked there that are trying to get out while the school is trying to leave, the kids are trying to get on the bus. So yeah, we found it was a very big issue there.
More photos.
That's just more photos of all the big lineup of cars, so sometimes they used to be lined up on both sides, all the way to the stop sign, up to 3rd Ave, like and people live on that street, people are trying to get home, the kids are trying to walk.
The bus turns on McLeod to go there, and sometimes traffic goes side, so it's really narrow.
And then of course there was 3rd Ave, so a lot of people worried about this. So we did just see there was that sign. I'm so happy to see that there's a 40-kilometer speed limit now posted there. There's signage. I noticed that this year, and I was very happy to see it. Maybe it'll start to get people to slow down a little bit, because before there was just that school zone kind of little sign over there. And there's no bus signage, but that's for the school in the schoolyard. There was one, I think it got hit and hurt the parts.
So this is observation they were walking about, just what we just basically said during the photos, it's what we observed. So these are some other initiatives other towns have done to reduce speeding during crossings or just make it safer. They got signage, and Hearst in the middle of one of the streets, they have a crossing little crossing path, where there's just a little signage in the middle of the street, so it makes narrow, so cars do slow down in intersections. For example, the measures taken in other schools, so better crossing for pedestrian, cycling education, maps to indicate the best route, and campaign back park and walk. So some schools have a parking area the parents park there and they walk to school at a safe distance, so it doesn't congest the entrance of the school. So there's another school, there's ticketing campaign, traffic calming measures, like that would be like the signage, better winter maintenance and crosswalk or cross guards.
Yeah, so next step, so, we have an action plan that we developed, Simone and I. We didn't bring it today, but of course, that's something we could share. We're still kind of finalizing everything as well. We figured we'd do the presentation. In other communities, some schools have taken this on, so it's always done with the school. We asked all schools, so all schools were asked here as well, and it was only, Mr. Simone's school here that kind of picked up. Like I said, Lori's school is in that, same school, right? So that's why we surveyed their parents too, just so we're kind of on the same page. Schools can enroll, participate in different walk, bike to school initiatives. So there's some in October, February, April, May. What we plan to do is give incentives as well to the kids. If they do walk, wheel, and actually we bought rollerblades and we bought skateboards and helmets and all that stuff. Just, you walk to school, well, we'll put your name in for a draw. So just try to get people to start to walk a little bit more. Of course, we want it to be done safely. And as we're hearing, some people are concerned, and that's maybe why their children are not walking. Encourage students to walk using incentive prizes. Yeah, just explain that. Continue to raise awareness about the importance of active school travel. Decrease congestion in school zone. I think with signage, that's the way to go, because as you can see there, like it's crazy. Designated pickup drop-off zone for students. I like the other school, they kind of have this going on a little bit, but this school kind of really doesn't. It's kind of the side of the street there. And then of course, next step, school board and or municipality, so road signage. We really like for people to just park on one side of the street. I think that would be very beneficial, because then it's not congested and it's not narrow, and the kids, there's less chance of them getting hit or hurt. School bus zone signage in the school area, so that's something that the Simone's board can take on. And then the snowbanks. I know this is not always realistic and doable, but possibly, snow removal to decrease height, narrowness of streets, right? Just because with that, it makes it even worse. And with cars parking.
And cars park both sides in winter or in summer, doesn't matter. Kids sometimes they don't pay attention and you won't see them. They go between two cars and they don't follow the safety rules of walking. So it becomes sometimes dangerous when kids just run out in the middle.
Yeah. Scary for the kids, and it's scary for the parents driving too, because they never know what a child is gonna do, right? So it gets to be a little bit tricky, but yeah, we thank you for listening. Hopefully we didn't take up too much time. Wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet. But we do have survey results, like it as a whole, if that's something that you'd like to see. But we kind of explained here what were the main concerns and what our next steps are kind of do. Education is important, yes, but sometimes you need a little bit more just to get that going. And I know the other school is a little bit different than the way this school is kind of set up, right?
This is for our school, for our community, our school community here.
That's right, that's why.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Really appreciate it. Well done. Members of council, discussion and input, please.
Again, I would just basically back up Greg Stefanik. Yes, the presentation, and that's something that we can look at is the signage for sure. And I like the idea of parking on the one side. I would have it on the east side of Nesabedima, where there's no houses. And, okay, yeah, it makes sense, 100%. And signage is cheap.
Yeah.
The snowbanks and all that. Honestly, I really believe our town does the best they can, but that's something that could be, and I'm pretty sure our town public works manager will pay special attention.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
No, just, again, thank you. That reiterates the same as what Councilor Stefanik and Councilor Peter said, same. Thank you.
I'd like to applaud you for putting this together and start something like this. We've all been talking about this for a very long time, and when you go to events, and especially at your school, you do see that, a lot of congestion, and just living up there, I know what you mean. I think the facts that you have brought forward, I think we should make sure that people get those, such as public works when it comes to snow removal and all that. That's a major concern. And especially when it comes to signage, I think we should be looking at that. So, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, thanks for listening to our concerns, right? Sometimes it's, and I mean, if any of you that are interested in joining our team, I know we don't meet all that often. Mr. Simo is the principal and a teacher, so he's very busy. He's a busy man, but, I mean, that's something we could always just.
I do have one question. When it comes to, other places, when you see, someone, standing out with a sign saying, stopping traffic and all that, is that a training thing? Have you looked into how that works?
Like cross guard?
Cross guard, yes.
That's
It's usually volunteers, eh?
Lots of them are volunteers.
Okay, is there a program that they have to go through?
I could look into it from broad school.
There's probably training and stuff,
Yeah.
because we looked at something that they did in Quebec. They did something similar, and they used to do it in Ontario, and they don't do it anymore. So it was just kind of training retired people or, family members or people that wanted to help, and they would walk with the kids to school to make it more safe. However, that's not something that we have in
Yeah.
Ontario anymore. It's moved to Quebec only because we tried to get that kind of going.
Okay, that's good to know.
But cross guards, yeah, I don't know, like, I mean,
It's
you
just
have
crossing
such-
to where, like, it's either crossing to each side of Third Ave where there's no sidewalks for the kids. A cross guard usually brings them to a busy street to a sidewalk where it's safe for them to walk to. For us, it's either going to cross at the school or to McLeod maybe, or to Third Ave, but you're still on the side of the road. It's hard to have that safety issue after that too.
And even like, the pathways for the kids to walk from
I
one
told
corner to another
Yeah.
that's something that would really help.
Yep, we just know that costs money and those things
Mm-hmm.
are, right, so we weren't, well, I mean, it's painting, sometimes just lines and getting something. I mean, a lot of them have those pathways, right, where you just cross and no car can go there. It's kind of like stop, right? You can't go, somebody's crossing. Even some people have lights that kind of flash or whatever, for pedestrians kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's different possibilities for sure. We kind of went small and not
Yeah.
too big, but those are obviously good suggestions, yeah.
That's great. I think the education is going to be the biggest hurdle to the parents and guardians understand that. The closest park and walk would be arena parking lot has massive amount. But I'm not sure how many parents would be really excited to walk
Yeah.
150 meters approximately to the school, but there's opportunities there.
Yeah. Yes.
To alleviate all that massive traffic. But I think that the parking one side, great idea.
Yeah.
Signage and education, and I think that would sort of help cause that.
And I would like to add just that when we were considering the Third Avenue project, that was one of the considerations, was the going to that option that would have a little bit wider walking area, so we'd be able to have that just for the safety. That was one of the
Yeah,
main decision-making factors in that.
I mean, you can't change everything, right, but it's like, that Third Ave, some people listen to the speed limit and some don't, right, like in every town. It's kind of difficult to
And
kind
it comes to enforcement too, like, there's no enforcement something of the speed either, so people take advantage of it.
like I said, those 40-kilometer signs, I was so happy to see those, and I saw it around the other school too, and I was like, yes, I love this, like, maybe it's gonna start to get people to slow down a little bit more, because I've seen some cars, and Simone and I were there, and the cars were just zooming right by, like there was no kids there, and there's kids everywhere, like, it's a bit scary, so I don't blame people for not wanting their kids to walk. It would be scary for sure. Yeah, sorry, Jen.
No worries. I just was gonna say, so the Third Avenue project, which was brought up, will have like demarcated line areas on each side. I believe it's 1.5 meters on each side. Walking paths. They're not sidewalks, but they will be on the road and they will be separated.
That's great.
And also we do have sensors in place, speed sensors along Third. And we do send that data to the OPP and we send that around. So we are working to try to get it because we do know that there's a speeding issue
Yeah,
on
great. I'm glad to
Third.
hear
So
that.
we are, I just wanted you guys to know we are working towards.
Great. I know you guys do some great work. Thank you.
Thank you so much again.
Yes,
For
thank
your time and effort.
Yeah,
Really
no
appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Okay.
You have to introduce it.
I will.
Okay, cool.
All right. I don't see her.
I'm not sure if she'll have her screen on, but she will be presenting.
Okay. All right, we'll proceed to 7.2 presentation asset management plan. Cindy is from Municipality of Wawa, and welcome virtually to our municipal meeting. And the floor is all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that. As I was introduced, my name is Cindy Godson, and I'm the Asset Management Coordinator working with the Township of Hornepayne staff to develop and document the Hornepayne Asset Management Program, and in this case, prepare the updated Asset Management Plan for 2024. So I'll jump right into it. I'll just let you know if you have any questions along the way, feel free to interrupt me or save them to the end. I'll leave that up to you. Okay. Okay, as I said, I'll just jump right in. So you've all been provided a copy of the draft asset management plan. I wanted to give an opportunity for questions or comments, and we can make any corrections needed before you've approved the final version. And let me just get right into what we're doing here. So as you may know, I was brought on board to assist with getting the asset management program going in Hornepayne, among other communities that I'm working with. And this is all due to the Ontario Regulation 58817, which was put in place by the asset management planning for municipal infrastructure under the Infrastructure for Jobs and Prosperity Act. So this slide just gives you a bit of information on the requirements of the regulation and where we're at in that process. So we started with the Strategic Asset Management Policy, which was prepared in 2019. That you may recall has recently been reviewed and updated in 2024, just to indicate how we've prepared the asset management program. The policy gives the information on who's responsible for what, essentially. Also in the regulation, the first requirement for an asset management plan related to the current levels of service for core assets, which according to the regulation, the core assets are your water, wastewater, your road network, the stormwater network, and the bridges and culverts. So those were the main focus of the original asset management plan that was done for the core assets. At the time, the balance of the assets were also in the asset management plan, including equipment, vehicles, and all of it was there. It just wasn't as much fleshed out in some areas because essentially it didn't need to be at that stage. And the project that we had going for that first asset management plan also allowed us to bring in some asset management software. We've got all of the assets in the software in the inventory, and we're working to develop some of the information in there even further. It's an ongoing process. We've got it to a certain level that we're able to use it for this asset management plan as well as the previous. And so that was one of the focuses of the first project. In the current, for the 2024 asset management plan, the focus was intended to be on current levels of service for all assets.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Cindy. We cannot hear you.
If she hear you,
Hello?
raise taxes a couple points.
That is so odd.
Text her maybe, or?
I can email.
Yeah.
This is like 14% life left, or 85%.
I would say dramatically from the camera.
Meaning? A legend? I can't see color, so I wasn't sure about that. That's not right.
I don't think she can see us, actually.
Cannot see us either. Oh my goodness.
No, I think we had discussed that.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Thank you, Richard.
You need a-
Look at it.
No. Richard, can you hear us? Okay. Thank you.
I'm sure she's doing a good job.
Yeah, it's showing on here that our audio is picking up. I'm not sure.
Just trying to get her attention so that maybe we can.
She seems to be staring at her screen.
Yeah, that's what she's doing.
Yeah, when we did a test earlier, she said she couldn't see the meeting because she had the presentation up.
But she can't hear us either, obviously.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, part of the problem might be that the icons on the screen to show the other participants are very small at the top of the screen, and if she's not seeing the full, she may not even see the full screen.
I'm gonna try calling her from
Okay.
this phone, but I'm gonna go out there.
Sure,
so
thank
that's-
you very much.
No worries.
It's a very lengthy presentation, it's
Yeah.
gonna make it,
Yeah,
Too loud.
put a lot of time into it.
Mm-hmm.
She sings involved.
Yeah.
okay. I think she realizes there might be something going on now. There she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's on her phone.
Yeah, we were trying to wave and then realized you couldn't see. So. Yeah. We were still on the
Yeah.
the like where we were at,
On the
the
current.
current levels. No, and I don't think you can hear us. The other people can, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay. Nope. We still can't hear you. We still can't hear you. No. One moment. Do we want to defer the rest of this until the next meeting?
I think we should, otherwise we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting late, we're getting along in the tooth here.
We can defer the rest of the presentation until next week if you want. No worries. So yeah, we'll defer for now. Yeah, we'll see what we can figure out for sure. Okay, perfect. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. So we're gonna defer until next week.
Thank you. Unfortunate.
Mhm.
So the 7.2 item will be deferred as the clerk stated. We're going to go to 7.3,
We have to do a motion to defer.
defer. Mover, please, and the seconder for Council Belinda, Council Shinneman, to defer.
Be it resolved, the council does hereby defer item 7.2, asset management plan presentation to the next available council meeting.
All in favor? All right, thank you, Jennifer. Item 7.3, tender award audit services. As you see, the report is in our files. And Jennifer, would you like to speak or regarding the issue? Or Richard?
I personally don't have anything. Richard?
I don't think so, unless somebody has any questions regarding the report and the results of that.
No questions from council input? So we're going to accept the administration's report and recommendation then? All right. May I have a mover and a seconder? Sorry, go ahead.
I did just want to say, I did make a couple of
Go ahead.
proposed changes for the motion that's on the floor. So you'll note that in the last paragraph near the bottom, it says the deputy clerk to notify the proponent and prepare a service agreement. I am requesting that we change that to staff, as I am confident that I will not know how to do that on my own and will ask for Richard's help. And I have an additional portion I would like to add at the end as well, just for council to authorize staff to obtain legal advice to develop the agreement if needed, if council is okay with that, as once again, I don't have experience developing agreements.
Council fine with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Peter Kissenmaker, Council Ted Shinneman.
Whereas the township issued a request for proposals RFP to complete the audit of the consolidated financial statements for the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne, including the township trust funds and Hornepayne Housing Corporation for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026, with the option to extend for an additional 2 fiscal years of 2027 and 2028. And whereas the township received 5 compliant proposal submissions as follows. Baker Tilly HKC from Hearst, Ontario, in the amount of $133,562, excluding HST, for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026. BDO Canada LLP from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in the amount of $113,150, excluding HST, for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026. Richard, do you mind muting?
I don't think it's Richard.
Thank you. Joanne Grant Thornton LLP from Thunder Bay, Ontario, in the amount of $160,077, excluding HST, for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026. KPMG LLP from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in the amount of $129,900, excluding HST, for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026. And Stefanese Professional Corporation from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in the amount of $75,750, excluding HST, for the fiscal years of 2024, 2025, and 2026. And whereas members of the senior management team reviewed the above proposals based on the criteria outlined in the RFP and have identified the proposal from Stefanese Professional Corporation as being consistent with the township's desired objectives, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne, upon recommendation of the Treasurer and Deputy Clerk, does hereby accept the tender submission from Stefanese Professional Corporation from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, at a cost of $75,750, excluding HST, to complete the audit of the consolidated financial statements for the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne, including the Township Trust Funds and Hornepayne Housing Corporation, for the fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026, with the option to extend for an additional 2 fiscal years, 2027 and 2028. and authorizes staff to notify the proponent and prepare a service agreement for signature in order for the project to proceed. Be it further resolved, the council does hereby authorize staff to obtain legal advice to develop this agreement if needed.
Thank you, Jennifer. All in favor? Carried. We're going into item number 8, department reports. Just a way of information, once the departmental reports are done, we'll be going into a closed session. So 8.1, acting treasurer, Richard, floor is yours, please.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. I wanted to make one comment regarding the audit proposals, just to make sure everybody understands that the dollar amounts that were quoted in that resolution are a total for the 3 years. So the pricing for the first year for 2024 looks like it could be a considerable savings for the audit for 2024. So we'll move forward with that. For my report, there's the 2 department reports, one for November the 13th and one for the 27th. The first couple of pages simply list projects that I've been working on, just so that council and staff are aware of the various aspects of the job that we're trying to keep up to date day to day. The first item that I would like to talk about, though, is the supplementary tax bills. I did get that sorted out, and we have sent out, well, we have printed, we can't mail, but we have printed supplementary tax bills, which will create revenue for the township of $11,436 from new assessment for 2024. There was one property that there were some adjustments for the prior 2 years, but quite small. At the same time, we're doing write-offs, and the township write-offs total $17,423. That amount will come out of the allowance for doubtful accounts, so that will be reduced, and it will not be an expenditure for 2024. I do want to say that a big chunk of that is township-owned properties. So as you'll remember, we had 6 properties that we were vesting. That has been done. The deeds have been registered. They are now properties that are owned by the township. And as a result of those vestings, we're writing off, well, in total, $9,000 from that allowance for doubtful accounts. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we have, from the tax sale of November 2023, that the deeds never did get registered to the new owner. We have been paid all of the money. So I have sorted out a lawyer locally who has now, as of last week, we did another property search to make sure everything was clear, and the deeds are now registered in that new property owner's name. The other thing I wanted to mention in my report is the provincial properties. So there are quite a few properties that are owned by the ministry, mainly the Ministry of Transportation and the Ministry of Natural Resources. And there's arrears there in our payment in lieu of taxes of over $230,000. So I have spent a considerable amount of time trying to find who in the Ministry of Finance can help me get to the bottom of why these are not paid. The biggest item is the Ministry of Transport property, where they store their equipment for looking after the roads. And also they've got salt domes, I believe, salt and sand domes on that property as well. And it's 5 years in arrears, which totals $170,000. So I've been in touch with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, his office. I sent them an email. I followed up with a request. Did they get my email to asking for assistance in a contact within the ministry that can help us collect this money? I have since made 3 phone calls and I'm not getting anybody to return my calls. I've also called your local MP, and his office were very supportive. I think what I'm going to have to do next week is call them back and see what more they could do to assist us in a contact. So I guess at this time, I'd like to ask council if anybody has any contacts within the ministries that could assist me in finding a contact. All I want is a name, a phone number, somebody I can talk to say, why are these not getting paid? And what can we do to collect this money? It's a sizable amount. So, and I'll move on. I think the next item in my first report, I had a slide in there that was good news, bad news. We are getting a sizable increase in the OMPF funding, the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. It's going up to $625,000 for 2025, which is an increase of $47,300. That would be a great boost for the municipality. But at the same time, we've also been notified that the billing from the Ontario Provincial Police will increase by $50,000 in 2025. So that just took that whole amount away. I know there's some movements there to try and get that resolved, but so let's move on. The other thing that I wanted to mention, the budget process. So I had hoped to have the first budget meeting in November, but I have spent a considerable amount of time resolving or reviewing outstanding taxes and the downloading the information from MPACT as far as the omits and supplementary billings and the write-offs and working all of that information. So we're not ready yet for a budget meeting. I also said I'm preparing budgets for the senior management team to review, and we'll be working on that over the next couple of weeks. Originally, I had hoped that we would set a budget meeting for the month of December, and we could do that tonight. But when we were talking as the senior management team today, we already have a meeting on December the 4th and the 11th, and there's only one more week before the office is closed for Christmas. So there's a lot of work to do, and we've decided it would be best to push that first budget meeting into January. So at this point in time, we will prepare a resolution for council to authorize the dates. But if council would like to make some notes on that, we're suggesting that Wednesday, January the 8th, be the first budget meeting, and Wednesday, January the 22nd, be the second budget meeting. So normally I understand there's one council meeting in the month of January, and I think we're going to suggest that it be in between, so January the 15th. Hopefully staff, especially Jennifer, will have less preparation to do for the two budget meetings. That will be mostly my part, but for her to put it together and send it out in a format for council to review before the meetings. Any questions on any of that so far?
Any questions, members of council? No, sir. Please continue. Sorry, Jennifer,
I was
please.
just going to confirm, so
Yeah.
the dates would be the 8th and the 22nd for special budget meetings, and then the regular meeting would be the 15th.
Yes.
Would be 3
And-
meetings.
And what I would hope, if everything goes smoothly, the first meeting will basically be operating budget, and the second meeting an update of the operating based on the first discussions. And on the second meeting, we'll also then go through capital projects for 2025. And then hopefully we can get everything wrapped up and approve the budget at, I would hope, the first meeting in February. That would be my goal. worst case scenario, the second meeting in February. The other thing I wanted to point out to council in my reports is the bank loan. We've got a proposal that is in a resolution later this evening to authorize the financing of the unpaid portion of the, not unpaid, it has been paid, but of the unfinanced portion of the new ball field and also of the fire department's new breathing apparatus. The long-term loans, construction loans with Infrastructure Ontario, I still have to get that process going, which I will be doing over the next week or two so that we will have those set up and ready to go when construction season hits for next year. I think that's all from my reports, but one last thing I did want to mention to council that's not in a report is we have been notified by Wawa that they have been doing the GIS services for Hornepayne, and that has now changed. They do not have an employee doing the GIS services anymore, so they are not able to continue with the GIS services for the Township of Hornepayne. So what senior management team had discussed that again today, and our suggestion is that we should do a request for proposal for that service. And the deputy clerk is going to prepare a report for next meeting. But just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up so you can be thinking about that before next week's meeting. And I think that's all I needed to bring up. And again, if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer.
Any questions, members of the council, input? Thank you. Are you a couple, Richard?
Yeah.
Thank you so much going to delve into the depth of MNR MTO. I was not aware of that arrears. I truly wasn't. It's pretty shocking the amount. I was going to ask any staff member that's currently here or the members of council, as you asked, would you have anybody contact that you know personally at those ministries?
I can let you know that the public works manager and I discussed this a week ago, and he actually stopped by their garage and talked to somebody. Now, I understand though that service is being leased out. So the people that are there are not employees of the province. They're a company that the province has leased the operation to. But there was a lady who immediately sent us off an email to say something about they would pass on the concern about the unpaid taxes. And I have sent her a couple of emails too, asking her if she could tell me who is responsible for paying the bills from the ministry, since they're at least a lessee there. But again, I'm not getting a response. It seems everywhere I go, I'm running into a roadblock trying to get somebody to talk to in the ministry. So yeah, it is shocking that there's 5 years worth of unpaid taxes there from our own province.
And the other question, it begs the question, I'm going to ask it. It's a bit disappointing when you get an increase in OPP services, where the question of OPP services in our community has been questioned quite frequently in the last year, and then we have this increase. I fully realize that I watch other council meetings right from Kirkland Lake. They're also struggling massively, more so than us, with the increases. So it's per household for Ontario, not just for her. I thought it was just it's for entire Ontario, and that's how they do it. And it's unfortunate for smaller communities that we suffer financially. But I think it's bad timing where we question the services and then we get nailed with that, my opinion, for a small community with a major increase.
Yeah, and I agree completely. I was shocked when I found out today that your closest detachment is about 2.5 hours away. So response time to any emergency within the township is just terrible. And yeah, that I wasn't fully aware of. And I don't know what to say. It's awful to be looking at an increase like this when service is not so readily available for the municipality. There is a resolution later in the meeting tonight to support another township and their suggestion that maybe the province should be taking back the cost of policing and handle it from their end instead of, when it was downloaded to municipalities probably about 20 years ago.
Any further comments, questions? Thank you for a solid report, Richard. Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The Public Works Manager will not be here because of obviously the weather and the staffing. If you have any questions, Jennifer could relate those questions to Dwayne in an appropriate manner. Questions? Oh, I had a special interest at the arena because I spent some time there over the years. I really, and it's funny when it's in your bloodstream. I knew that magic number 53 hours no hydro, and I spoke to Dwayne in person. Not a few hours, the ice would have been lost. Basically, it's a bond that's attached to the concrete, and once the bond breaks, the ice would have to be removed, which we did in the curling club approximately 27 years ago. So it was within the crucial moment that the hydro came on and saved tremendous amount of work and extra costs. So Dwayne was very pleased to see that it hung on tough. Thank you. And Economic Development Officer, please, any comments or?
I don't have anything to add, but I'll take questions if anything.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, input? Thank you very much for a fine report. All right, please go ahead.
Prior to moving into closed, I realized I forgot to actually write the motion on the agenda to acknowledge receipt of the departmental reports. But I have it up here and ready to
That's
go.
fine.
If that's okay.
We need a mover, seconder. Mover and a seconder, please, to accept the Council Kissemaker, PMB.
Perfect. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the departmental reports provided at the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, November 27th, 2024.
All in favor? Carries. Thank you very much. Excuse me. We'll move into the, whenever you're ready.
Oh, whenever, just move a second.
Okay, we'll just take a couple minutes. Okay.
Yep.
All right, may I have a mover and item number 9.1, mover and a seconder for a closed session, please. Council Belinda and Councilor Ted at 7 p.m.
Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 7 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and a position plan procedure criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board pursuant to section 239 2B CFK of the Municipal Act 2001.
All in favor? Carried.
we're good to go.
All right, return to open council. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Schöneman and Council Kessemaker. Please go
Be
ahead.
it resolved that the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby return to open council at 8:23 p.m.
Thank you very much. Item number 10, business arising from closed session. From the closed session, items 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, all issues were discussed and are ongoing.
There you go. On the open agenda, actually, I
Okay.
gave you the closed numbers, so we'll just say 9.2, 9.3, 9.4,
9.4,
9.5.
sorry, 9.596.
Sorry.
I apologize, that's from my apologies. But those are the items. So we're going to item number 11. 11.1, chiropractic services, location issues. Did members of council have opportunity to read and analyze that letter? And if so, may I have some input or discussion, please?
I think for me, the concern is that as soon as you start to look at whether or not you can break a billing up, then you've opened the door into somebody saying, well, I'm only open this many days, I'm only open that many days, I only want to pay for the days I'm open. And it's hard. I understand the predicament they're in, but I think we're opening a can of worms.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
I do believe we're opening a can of worms, but I do believe it's about time. Because if we don't start helping each other out within our community, on getting people to come here with their services and stuff for the community, somehow, we're not gonna have anybody. And when I look at this is just one example. It's a chiropractic service. We could have a lawyer service, whatever. If we don't have places for them to go for a day or whatever, and think of all these things, we're not gonna get anybody here anymore. We gotta start working together. That's my thing.
Thank you. Peter?
I would agree with Councillor Linda Kistemaker on that. We helped out with the hotel, we helped out with, if we don't change our way of thinking, look where it's got us so far. Like, the only way to move forward is you gotta just start, other communities do it, so we have to look into it. The only problem is we're so isolated, and Linda's making a good point. You don't, and I agree with what Ted's saying, you don't wanna make specials. You make amendments to one, you gotta do them to all, but we're also making it so it's financially impossible for this individual to come and offer their services. I don't know, it's something that we should be looking into, and maybe break it down by the week, you know, instead of one day, have it say 1 week maybe or something, but make it reasonable to these potential businesses offering their service on a limited time basis.
Any further comments? Please go ahead.
Yeah, like, my thing is can we have Richard somehow look at this for us and maybe come up with an idea or a form or some kind of thing that, so we're covering this, so people aren't being offended, and it goes with what we're trying to do? Maybe he can help us out.
If I may,
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
The other thing too is this has been going on forever. Like being
Yeah.
part of the HEDC, we're
Mhm.
dealing with things like this all the time, and it was hurting us. So we gotta figure out how to do this right.
I looked at this very carefully and actually analyzed it. I think instead of going per day, because there's a lot of administration, through Richard as well, I like to see a minimum 10 days cost. 10 days per month. Now, it's always the honesty of the landlord to let us know that if they hit the mark, the threshold, or if they go higher. I think that honesty is but it has, instead of, well, 1 day here to 3 days this month, threshold is 10 days. So 10 times $7.20, this is what the revenue is coming from, better than zero revenue. Number two, the service is being provided, and you're right, over the last 10, 15 years, various other services came across, I remember very well, and the opportunity was not for them to stay here because of the cost, various other costs, but that's one of the costs as well, because they would have to borne the cost of water and sewer system. I think that there should be a threshold, and then we could certainly check with the acting treasurer, and he has a tremendous amount of experience. He would certainly give us some recommendations, but I would have that minimum, so there's not 1 day here, 3 days here. Give us the minimum and see what happens.
You could have, example, you could have a per diem, whatever, or a daily cost, whatever, and add a service fee to it if you wanted to do that. I don't know. But at least we would be helping them out and helping out the landlord.
Yes. Will not be empty.
Well, that, and even if it's a third of the cost or whatnot, that whatever works, that's a third of the cost going into the coffers at no additional capital expense for the township going in to provide this water.
Exactly. I think this should be further investigated.
I think
we
we
all
are
agree.
looking at, but I mean, you're looking at a whole new set of bylaws, and this is not gonna happen overnight.
We could always add an addendum to the bylaws. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not written in stone. I mean, they could be changed and altered. We've done before.
So what I'll do is bring this to Richard and get his thoughts,
Input.
and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Please. Item 11.2, Penukumi First Nation Treaty Land Entitlement Claim. I read it. I wasn't sure the intent of the correspondence, because I'm not in the loop regarding this one. I mean, I understand it, but I'm out of touch in this area.
It was just to let us know.
That's where I thought, but I
Um,
honestly don't know.
So it seems like primarily it is to let us know, but in the end of the letter, they do mention wanting to have a meeting in the future, but that they'll reach out in the future. So that's why I put it under action, because I wasn't sure if there would be anything about that or not.
Okay. So when they request a meeting, we'll be available. All agreed upon? Thank you very much. The 11.3, the new Northeastern Health Unit Board of Health. I placed my name for the potential being a new member, the merger group between Porcupine Health Unit and also the Miskimins Health Unit. I know the other people on Highway 11 corridor as well have expressed interest. I thank the Mayor of Fort. She put a letter together for me, which will be sent to all the municipalities as well. And I thank her for the kind words. I dedicate my heart and soul for that for the last 10 years, and I love doing it. Fought many times for our community. 3 years, we had 0% increase for all the municipalities. It was directly because of me, because we dug down deep into the reserves, because we had reserves. And I had to fight against my own board members, but 3 years, we succeeded with 0. For us, even a $2,000 increase is a major increase, yet we have reserves. And I enjoy being in that group, see what transpires. Whoever's going to be on new board, the new board meets January 1st, 2025. I'm not surprised the government. That would be my only comment. And I would respectfully ask members of council your support. Thank you. 11.4 donation, please go ahead.
There's a motion on 11.3.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
No,
apologize.
it's good.
May I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councilor Galinda, please go ahead.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby endorse the nomination of Councilor Drago Stefanik as the Rural North representative on the new Northeastern Health Unit Board of Health.
All in favor? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I'll give you all the names, the municipalities, if you,
Oh, I have
We have-
part of the list.
I don't want, okay, thank you, I didn't
I'm
want
in the equal
to
list.
do extra work for you, thank you. 11.4, donate to request 2024 annual Santa Claus party. Wonderful work by Pam and all the volunteers over the many years. I spoke to Jen regarding this in our pre-meeting yesterday. We have donated last year was $1,000. We have in donations still $700. If we would go into our marketing, we have $300.
Yeah, so if I can.
Please go ahead.
So I did get the numbers for this. In donations to organizations, council has $700 remaining. In advertising and public relations, council has $4,434.71 remaining. So if council wishes to donate 1,000 this year, it would be technically 700 from donations and then 300 from advertising and public relations. But after speaking with the treasurer on this,
Okay.
he recommends that we put it as fully from donations to organizations to accurately record how much is being used for donations, but the surplus will come from, or the what isn't there will come from the advertising and public relations.
Yeah.
But in our resolution, it will be coming from donations.
That's financially smart. Gives you a true picture for the next year and thereafter. Any comments, suggestions on this donation?
No, so long as it's, permissible to be able to swing that around, then that's fine. I'm in agreement with the
Okay. All
full
agreement?
$1,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Good
Mover,
cause.
please. Peter, Councilor Kistemaker, Councilor Kistemaker, PMB. Okay, all in favor? Thank you,
I'll
sir.
read it out for
Oh,
you.
please go ahead. I'm
No
rushing.
worries.
I apologize.
Okay, so be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby authorize a donation of $1,000 to be expensed from the council donations to organizations to the 2024 Santa Claus Christmas party to be held on December 22nd, 2024. Be it further resolved that council does hereby authorize an additional in-kind donation of 20 tables and 100 chairs to be provided on December 20th, 2024.
And that would be all handled by staff as was the last year before. Okay, thank you very much. All in favor? Agreed. Approved. 11.5 Wawa and area victim services. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Chairman, Council the Kistemaker. Discussion on it, please. Please go ahead.
Is there a place that's already been looked at within the community?
Go ahead.
So I can
No,
speak to this?
you go ahead, please.
All right. Deputy Mayor Stefanik had asked about that in our agenda review. And he specifically had said he would like the Economic Development Officer's input. I did bring this to her in our SMT meeting, and I brought it to Richard as well, and it was discussed. And the top pick would be the Pavilion Park.
Okay.
And then as a backup would be potentially the baseball field, the new baseball field, but we would prefer the Pavilion Park. And Stacy did say that there is enough space for it, so.
And further to that, we already have a library.
Yeah.
I mean, let's make the theme of it. So anybody else, and then be a central theme in our community when people, visitors and people, relatives come to a community, it's all there.
Yeah.
I think this would be a good positive image for our entire community.
Yeah.
Any other further comments? In agreement? Okay.
Okay. Whereas the Wawa Area Victim Services and Chadwick Home have proposed the creation of a small, serene green space dedicated to victims and survivors of crime and the community organizations that support them. And whereas the green space is intended to provide a place for rest, remembrance, reflection, and solace for community members, as well as raise awareness of available support services. And whereas council previously expressed support for this project concept through resolution number 2024-138. And whereas Wawa and Area Victim Services has secured initial grant funding from the Ministry of Justice to support this initiative, which will be phased over 3 years with ongoing grant applications and community input. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby formally approve of the Green Space Project, which will include minor low-maintenance plantings and seeding as outlined by Wawa and Area Victim Services, and the installation of a plaque honoring victims and survivors of crime. Be it further resolved that the Township will provide a suitable location for the green space and commit to its ongoing maintenance, with specific elements of the project to be finalized in collaboration with Wawa and Area Victim Services.
Great, and we'll let the staff be directly with contact with them, and it will be in their ball court. Please go ahead.
There is an additional thing that they had reached out to me about.
Okay.
They did provide the proposed wording for the plaque, and they just wanted me to bring that to council and see if there's any changes that you would like, or if there's any additions to community organizations. So if everyone's okay, I'll read that out and you can let me know.
Please.
So the wording is, this space is dedicated to victims and survivors of crime in Hornepayne and to those who provide support. Wawa Area Victim Services, Chadwick Home, Social Services, Ontario Provincial Police, Hornepayne Community Hospital. This project is funded by the Ministry of Justice. So they asked if there are any other organizations in Hornepayne that we wish to add, or any changes that we would like.
Council's input?
Yep.
That standard would be acceptable, right?
Would we want the health unit on it if the hospital's on it?
We would have to get the permission,
Gotcha,
100%. Because we can't use their
gotcha.
name unless, and plus it will change.
Perfect. I just didn't want to miss anyone and it be
Yeah, no, but thank you for asking.
screwed, so perfect. Okay, so I can advise that this wording is good.
All in favor? Carried.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 11.6, Whitewater Region OPP funding support. Mover and a seconder, please. Council Peter Kistenmaker, Council Ted Shinneman, please.
Whereas the Township of Hornepayne has received correspondence from the Township of Whitewater Region urging the Ontario government to implement sustainable funding for small rural municipalities by reabsorbing the costs of the Ontario Provincial Police back into the provincial budget without cost recovery from municipalities. And whereas Council recognizes the significant financial challenges faced by small rural municipalities in Ontario, particularly in funding the upkeep of essential infrastructure such as roads, bridges, water, wastewater systems, and municipally owned buildings. And whereas annual costs associated with the Ontario Provincial Police Municipal Policing Bureau for non-contract 5.1 municipalities places additional strain on small rural municipalities with limited property tax revenue, impacting the ability to meet infrastructure and operational needs. And whereas the Ontario government has demonstrated its capacity to provide financial support to major urban areas for infrastructure projects, highlighting the need for equitable treatment of small rural municipalities. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby support the Township of Whitewater Region's request that the Ontario government implement sustainable funding for small rural municipalities by reabsorbing the costs of the Ontario Provincial Police back into the provincial budget without cost recovery from municipalities. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Michael S. Kersner, Minister of the Solicitor General, the Honourable Peter Bethlen-Balvey, Minister of Finance, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Whitewater Region.
Any comments, further comments, discussion? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Item 11.7, Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, NOMA, Billy Bishop Airport. Mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Kistenmaker B and Councilor Ted Shinneman. Please.
Whereas the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, NOMA, has highlighted the critical importance of Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport for Northern Ontario, connecting our communities to essential economic, social, and medical resources. And whereas the airport's long-term future depends on modernizing the tripartite agreement with the City of Toronto, Ports Toronto, and Transport Canada, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby support NOMA's call for immediate action to secure this vital long-term viability and development of Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport. Be it further resolved that a copy of this motion be sent to the Honorable Anita Anand, President of the Treasury Board and Minister of Transport, the Honorable Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, Minister of Tourism, Government of Canada, the Honorable Francois Philippe Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, Government of Canada, the Honorable Aaron Tangraj, Deputy Minister of Transport Canada, Government of Canada, John D. Elvidge, City of Toronto Clerk, Paul Johnson, City of Toronto City Manager, Jag Sharma, City of Toronto Deputy City Manager, RJ Steenstra, President and CEO, Ports Toronto, Sandra Pupatello, Chair, Board of Directors, Ports Toronto, Neil Packey, President and CEO, Newport Aviation, the Honorable Pradmeet Sarkaria, Minister of Transportation, the Honorable Vic Fideli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any further discussion or comments on this issue? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 11.8, Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, NOMA, Ontario Northland Transportation Commission, ONTC, Northwestern Ontario Expansion. A mover, please, and a seconder. Councilor Ted Shinneman, Councilor Pete Kistenmaker. Please.
Whereas the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, NOMA, has expressed strong support for the Ontario Northland Transportation Commission's proposed expansion of motor coach services in Northwestern Ontario, and whereas this expansion aims to connect key locations including the Winnipeg Airport, the Thunder Bay Airport, and areas west of Hearst through Nipissing, thereby enhancing connectivity, economic growth, and accessibility within Northwestern Ontario. And whereas NOMA advocates for the addition of a secondary bus route along both highways 11 and 17, as well as north-south route expansions to improve efficiency, reliability, and connectivity for communities such as Red Lake, Ear Falls, and Sioux Lookout. And whereas the Township of Hornepayne is uniquely situated to directly connect Highway 11 to Highway 17, making it a central access point within the region's transportation network. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne hereby supports the letter from NOMA to the Ontario Northland Transportation Commission and the Government of Ontario urging prioritization of the proposed motor coach service expansion in Northwestern Ontario to advance transportation accessibility, economic development, and regional connectivity with recognition of Hornepayne's strategic position at the heart of this network. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honorable Pradmeet Singh Sarkaria, Minister of Transportation, the Ontario Northland Transportation Commission, and the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Any discussion on the issue? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 11.9, Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, again, NOMA, critical shortage of paramedics in Northwestern Ontario. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Ted Shinneman, Councilor B. Kistenmaker. Please, Jennifer.
Whereas the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association has expressed urgent concerns regarding the critical shortage of paramedics across Northwestern Ontario, highlighting the unique challenges rural and remote communities face in recruiting and retaining these essential healthcare professionals. And whereas the lack of adequate paramedic staffing poses significant risks to the health and safety of residents in these communities, with emergency services and response times impacted by this shortage. And whereas NOMA has formally requested that the Ministry of Health take specific actions to address this shortage, including the provision of 100% provincial funding, targeted recruitment initiatives, collaboration with educational institutions, and the creation of work-while training programs to support a sustainable paramedic workforce in underserved areas. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby support NOMA's letter calling for urgent provincial action to address the critical shortage of paramedics in northwestern Ontario. Be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Sylvia Jones, Minister of Health, and the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any discussion on the issue? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Item 12.1, correspondent information only. Does anybody wish to discuss any issues under correspondence, please? Please go ahead.
I do just want to highlight 12.2, which is the OPP 2025 annual billing statement. This was mentioned by Richard during his report, and we did do the motion about the costing, so I just wanted to tie that in.
And I already made my comments regarding that issue, so I'll not repeat myself. That was pretty clear.
If I may,
Please go ahead.
I mean, the concern is, how do we deal with it? I mean, we get a bill for 50 grand that, we haven't seen the service. How do we get to some point of discussion and being able to say, hey, we're not happy, we're not satisfied, and we're getting billed, and it's province-wide, but we're not seeing the results, we're not seeing the service, and our service, and we get billed an extra 50 grand, or 37 grand, because 13 came from the other, but still, I mean, how do we deal with that? How do you, who do you shake the stick at? I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I mean,
Go ahead, please.
Just to add on to what Ted's saying, you got to look around. I know I got talking to, he was a friend of mine, our past sergeant. He was here doing a ride program because they had to show their stuff. And he was telling me there was weekends where there was 2 constables between White River, Duberville, Wawa, Chapelot, Hawk Junction. So you got 5 communities, and this is an ongoing thing. So my question is not how can they justify, if it was unique to Hornepayne, I could see the whole system is going to be increased in price. But this is not unique. There's no service anywhere. Yet they can justify up in the cost by that amount. No other world will this happen. But when you have someone that sets the rates and sets the service rate, the rate of service, and you have nothing you can say about it, what do you do, Ted? Just doing what we're doing right now, complaining.
And that's
but I mean, it's terrible.
They've changed their hiring requirements that the average white Anglo-Saxon person goes to the bottom of the hiring list, and there are not enough immigrants or enough of other nationalities applying into the service. I mean, it's the applications aren't there. I mean, that's the problem. My buddy in Kirkland Lake is just shaking his head. He's like, we're running 2 guys. How do you do that?
Please go ahead, Jennifer.
So as Richard had mentioned, he only learned about the extent of our police services today. But in our meeting, he did mention wanting to look at options for the future and how to address this issue. So I do think that will be something that is coming to council, just kind of an overview of all of our options and whether or not they're feasible.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that he is working on, because once he realized today the extent of it, he was really horrified.
I would suggest through myself to Jennifer, Kirkland Lake is really, really upset. Stacy White, the mayor, I know they'll, she'd be writing to, I'm not sure who, so we should follow their agenda. Where's the letter going to the key person? And I think we could do the same thing. I mean, we pay for the service and it's theirs to solve, not us. We have no control of their staffing numbers. Never did. Ever. The last 43 years here. We never knew how many people were on staff out working at nighttime, daytime. We did not know that. That was confidential, and that's a fact. So I think wherever the mayor of Kirkland Lake is sending correspondence, and that's probably this last agenda or the next agenda, I'll even look at it as well. And I think we should send the same correspondence, the same individuals in those different ministries.
Yeah.
I mean, if all council agrees.
Yeah, and going and off of that, just to rebound up what Ted's saying, I don't disagree with you. I don't want to put any. I don't believe there's nationality or the minorities versus Anglo-Saxons. What you said, it's systematic right across the board with every industry. You look at our local mill. We're sponsoring people to come in, and thank God, because the mill wouldn't run without them. And in our trucking industry, that's what I'm from. It's systematic right across the board. Whether people don't want to work, I don't know what it is. My problem is, you're right, Drago. It's their problem to deal with. Why are we being billed as if we're getting full service?
100%.
That's my objection. Not why we're in a predicament, but why are we paying for something that we don't have?
Exactly my point.
You know, if you're making payments on a car, you're only allowed to use it Tuesday and maybe Wednesday. I'd have a problem with that.
Yeah, no,
And that's what we're doing.
but I think the letter should be forthcoming. I'll pay attention to those, their agenda as well. Good. Jennifer, to give us contact. Please go.
I think whatever we do when it comes to NOMA and all that kind of, we're sending copies to all these organizations so they know that we're looking for support. They want to give us support and we're getting it to the bigger ministries.
Valid point. Thank you. Any further discussion this issue or any other issue under the correspondence?
Don't forget the motion.
Okay, please go ahead.
Mover and second.
Mover to seconder, I'm sorry. Council Ted Shinneman, Council P. Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, November 27th, 2024.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. We go into the committee 13.1 committee board updates and 13.1 Northeastern Superior Mayors Group meeting minutes from September 11th. Any comments, observations on the minutes? Being none, may I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Shinneman, Council P. Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that council does hereby receive the minutes from the Northeast Superior Mayors Group, NESMG, meeting held on September 11th, 2024 as information.
All in favor? Carried. Item 13.2, Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, new NOMA bylaw number 1. Any comments regarding that? May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Ted Shinneman, Council B. Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that council does hereby receive the new Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association NOMA bylaw number 1 as information.
All in favor? Carried. All right, we're going to 13.3 council committee updates. Councilor Belinda, please.
I don't have anything at this
Thank you
time.
very much. Councilor Peter.
Nothing at this moment.
Councilor Ted, please.
Thank you. So we had our hospital board meeting. Some good news. They were able to hire the nurse educator and have been very pleased with what's going on there. On the other side, they lost an RN who was relocating out of the province. And then we probably spent 45 minutes on this next issue, which is a dire concern, is the code gray that they had to declare during the power outage. And that was a critical failure on our part. As a township, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we blew it. And it was probably, we look at hydro and we can blame hydro and say, well, you know, they said it was gonna be 6 hours, they said it was gonna be 12 hours, but ultimately, we blew it. We did not have anything prepared for that. There was not a state of emergency declared. I had left Sunday afternoon, I had appointments in Timmins. When I was coming back, I talked to Jen, or texted back and forth, but our warming areas weren't warm. We were out without internet, the hospital was without power, or without their internet, and without, they had the generator, without that, without their phone system. And the internet, now I guess when they called, because it's in here, they couldn't get any power to it. So everything was, and it just throws a whole thing, but they were, and then on top of that, we have no lighting at the airport. So the orange that was supposed to fly in could not fly because there was no lighting at the airport.
There's no generator backup with there?
Apparently not. So there was, it was critical. We blew it. Yeah. So
Okay.
just have to take our part and say,
Yeah.
you know what, there were some major issues there. No phone, no internet, no
Okay, go
lighting.
ahead.
To back up what you're saying, I completely agree. And I'll take my share of the, blame on that. But going forward, we have all these emergency response plans in place, but we live in the north. And I lived there all my life, and I'm going, Glenn and I talked about this, and I'm like, you're right. We have this, we have that, yet there was no place where people get warm. And like, I'm fortunate my home has a wood stove, but I would venture to guess probably 70% of the homes and buildings in Hornepayne don't have that. And we should be looking at a place, a common area where, say like the Legion or something there, that they just put in a brand new heating system that runs off propane. It wouldn't take this huge major generator like they have at the hospital. Something that would, if you're cold, you could call for help and we can put you in, or at least you're not gonna freeze to death. Something that we can look at.
Okay, Councilor Linda, please.
Okay, my thing is, we have an emergency plan. It's a big binder that we all have to
Yes.
follow. Why wasn't it followed? Why didn't somebody know that we should be looking at it? We gotta go from the very beginning and follow it through, and what happened?
But nowhere in there is a warming spot.
Who's your emergency plan coordinator?
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Please go ahead.
Jen.
So Jeff Edwards is, and he was involved in this.
Local. Who's your local one?
Please. Thank you.
We currently don't have a local coordinator because it's normally the CAO. However, Jeff Edwards, Mayor Fortin, myself worked together as a team because it is normally Mayor Fort and the coordinator. And we did follow the binder. We had them out the whole time and did go through it. We do have warming centers within our plans. And it is something that we discussed because we were talking with Hydro One, trying to get them to get us a generator to be able to power a warming center, but they couldn't. So we do have a follow-up meeting on December 5th, so next Thursday, with myself, Mayor Fort, Public Works Manager, the Fire Department, OPP, paramedics, the hospital, and a few other involved parties as well, to discuss what happened, to come up with ways to mitigate risks in the future, to figure out what we can do, what is feasible, what we need to budget for, etc. And that will be coming back to council. But it was supposed to be sooner, that meeting, but I was unwell, so we had to postpone it.
Please go ahead.
It's not a blame game. It's how do we do it better next time?
Yeah,
Because the next time.
mitigate it, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I also just want to say that I was never part of emergency management in my role.
Yep.
And
I
so just
understand.
because I am the interim office manager and acting as clerk fully, it did become my role. So there was probably some delays because I did have to read the binder pretty thoroughly as we went. So
Yeah, understand.
And
Please.
I think we were all presumptive that Hydro were telling us the truth. It's gonna be 6 hours. Like we, at the church, we ran the generator. Saturday night, I had people there till midnight, then they went home and slept. And then came back, we had church after, I left at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, thinking he was gonna be back on at 6, that was the next. I get to Timmins and I look, and so I talked to Jen. Well, I didn't leave a key with anybody. We have a generator, we have propane, we have ample supplies. But I thought, same as everybody else. Hydro said it's gonna be back on at 6, right? So, it just
Go ahead, please.
a snowball.
And assumption is usually
Yeah.
the root of all evil.
Yeah.
So we gotta learn from this. We gotta apologize.
Mhm.
Our Jen was following it. Again, Heather made a good point about the local, and so we're getting that straightened out. But going forward, we have to feasibly look at, but there's something like we should be looking at a building that is the Legion or whatever it may be, that we purchase a generator that can run it. We don't want something, because generators can get, I don't know how much the generator at the hospital costs, but it's something that's not in our world. But we don't need that. We need heat. And even though it's in there, if there's no way to implement it, what good is it?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so we do have the Legion and the Arena as designated warming centers, and there is discussion. So we had a internal meeting after the fact with like fire department and staff to discuss how everything went down, what could have been done better, what we need to do moving forward. And we did talk about solutions for warming, and once again figuring out what is financially feasible and kind of the differences between, for example, owning a generator and keeping up with maintenance, or having one nearby on standby that we can rent out at a moment's notice. There's a lot of things that are being discussed to try to make sure that it's financially feasible, and will also, we don't want to have a generator that we only use once every 5 years and then it doesn't work. So there's a lot of discussion happening, and it is something that we're all taking very, very seriously, because we know that it could have gone very, very, very badly, and thankfully it was not midwinter. I was in constant communication with Hydro One. We were texting and calling with a specific member. We got updates at minimum every 2 hours. And we just did what we could with the updates we were receiving. We did come up with things that we requested that they do. So for example, backup crews, things like that, so that we were not going to be stuck waiting. Overall, it could have gone a lot better, but it was, I think,
Steep learning curve.
yeah. And now we are having these meetings, we are figuring stuff out, and there are a few emergency funding opportunities that have come out recently. So that is something we're discussing as well, to look into ways to get the equipment that we need. So it's stuff that's being talked about. And I had talked about this actually with Deputy Mayor Stefanik in our agenda review, because he had asked if that was something that we should discuss tonight. And I had said it might be best to wait until next week, because Mayor Fort has been in the meetings. And also next Thursday we'll be having our meeting. So we'll be able to bring a update back for the 11th, but we can discuss it in advance next week. But it's something that,
Go ahead, please.
Critical was the internet. I mean, the internet for the hospital. I mean, everything they do relies on the internet.
Well, I understand.
From pulling meds to doing it to that, and so they need to be able to. So whether net spectrum, if we have to modify something to be able to get power, so that obviously it's in the building, so that creates a problem. And
So with the generator on, you had no.
They had nothing. Yes.
Wow.
They had no internet at all, so everything had to be pulled by hand. Everything, and then once the power does come back, then everything has to be manually put back in. It was not it was not good. So, I do believe Mayor Cheryl actually did have the opportunity to go up on the Monday and go through the hospital with Linda and be able to see exactly what was going on. So I think she'll be able to share some more of that.
Go ahead.
I will note Net Spectrum, they have, I believe, a 30-minute battery backup on their system. So if the power goes out, get about 30 minutes before the internet goes out.
Efficient.
And they do just essentially rent the space from us. So it is up to them to like provide a generator, to provide a power source for that, because they just rent our space.
And the hospital said that if there was a situation like that, they would be willing to be able to see how they could help out in that situation.
Yes, I have been in communication.
I think a final comment, I also think Hydro One also was the weak link.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. They provide the service, we pay for the service, this community, citizens. They should have direct contact, whatever the system they use, direct from Hydro One to people's cell phones, whatever worked at that time. My regular landline didn't work, but we have an old-fashioned phone that worked 80% of the time. That you plug in, it's electronic. So I think because the biggest unknown was how many hours will be shut down. That's the unknown. These people do this for a livelihood. They should have known estimated time, in my humble opinion, how long it will take, especially once they got to the work site, as that was never shared.
And I don't know, do we actually know when they actually located the problem?
What I quickly mentioned to Jennifer, I like to have them answer when the call came in to the call center, when they responded to the call. I want a chronological order. When he arrived in Hornepayne, some numbers be pretty stunning from the time they heard, the time they arrived. My personal experience over the last 43 years, I'm starting to doubt the time frame should have been much faster. Only my opinion, no one else's. But it was. Please go ahead, I'll leave it at that.
I was just gonna say, that was part of why I had recommended that we bring it to next week's meeting, because then we can mark down these questions and have them ready to go, so council can think about what they want us to be discussing in this meeting. And we can get that information
100%.
at the meeting on the 5th.
Because we don't want this happening again.
So this will be an item on the meeting on the 4th.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Which it was already gonna be.
The first truck arrived, because it was right across the road from the church. The first truck arrived by 7:30. There was a truck there, and he left. And so we thought, no, everything must be under control. and that was the last we saw of anybody over there at all. So
We'll certainly look at that thoroughly.
just a snowball.
And my comment, I have PHU Board of Health meeting. I have a PHU-THU merger working group committee. This is virtual. The province of Ontario did not give us a final stamp of approval yet to proceed, but yet they want us to have a first meeting with the new board January 1st. I am not surprised the time frame they put on us, because we worked on this last year. Well, the administration, worked on this for the last couple of years. So they put the time crunch on us, and we did not. Once I get the official approval, I will send to the deputy clerk. She could disseminate it to all the other members of council and the mayor. And I have a library board meeting the second week of December. Thank you. So we're going into the new other business, 14.1. Set a special meeting December 4th, mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Belinda, Kissinger, Councilor Deschenneman.
Be it resolved, the council does hereby set a special meeting on Wednesday, December 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in a hybrid meeting room.
All in favor? Carried.
Can I speak to it?
Please square, please.
This was put on just because we had to cancel the November 13th meeting, and you might have noticed this agenda was a little bit long, and that was having cut it down because I had planned for the next meeting. It was simply because I assumed council and the public didn't really want to watch a 6-hour meeting. And I did kind of check availability prior to. So that was the reasoning for this.
Yeah, good decision, thank you. Item 14.2, Canadian Union for Public Employees, QP Local 3 Collective Agreement Negotiations Committee. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Ted Shinneman, Council Peter Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby appoint the following to act on behalf of the Township of Hornepayne, the employer, for the purpose of facilitating the collective agreement negotiations with the Canadian Union for Public Employees, QP Local 3. Dwayne Goodrow, Public Works Manager, Jennifer Hill, Deputy Clerk, Richard Bennett, Acting Treasurer, and Stacy Rendell, Economic Development Officer.
Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 14.3, payment in lieu property taxes. May I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Council Belinda Kistemaker, Council Ted Shinneman.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby write off the attached payment in lieu property taxes in the amount of $66,584.37 for water, sewer, and landfill operations in the municipality and township properties that have vested and have not had the assessments changed to exempt.
Discussion on the issue. That's what the acting treasurer brought up during his report. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 14.4, land foreclosure estimate. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Council Ted Shinneman, Council Peter Kistemaker.
Whereas the Township of Hornepayne requested quotes to provide an estimate for closure and post-closure care costs for the Hornepayne landfill site as required by PSAB 3280 reporting standards. And whereas the Township of Hornepayne received two quotes as follows: Pynchon Ltd, $2,800 plus HST, EXP Services Inc., $2,600 plus HST. Therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby accept the quote from EXP Services Inc. in the amount of $2,600 plus HST to provide the required estimate. Be it further resolved that the funds required for this estimate will be expensed from the landfill reserve account.
Discussion on the issue. We discussed it second last meeting, and it was recommended by our acting treasurer, and we agreed for him to proceed RFPs, and that's what it came to our table, and it was executed. All in favor? Carried. Item 14.5, CIBC loans. May I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Council Ted Shinneman, Council Peter Kistemaker.
Whereas the Township of Hornepayne requests for quotes to provide long-term loans to finance the unfunded portion of the new ball field and the fire department's new self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA. And whereas the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC, has offered the following loans: $198,000 for the new ball field to be repaid over 15 years, and $128,000 for the SCBA to be repaid over 7 years. And whereas each loan can be issued at a variable interest rate of prime less 0.025%, with prime currently at 5.95%, or a fixed interest rate of 5% renewable after 5 years. And whereas the variable rate loans require monthly repayments based on the principal amount divided by the total number of months plus monthly interest, and whereas the fixed rate loans would involve monthly blended payments of principal and interest, and whereas the acting treasurer has provided estimated interest calculations and repayment amounts in Schedule A, and has recommended proceeding with the fixed rate loan option for each loan. Therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne hereby authorizes staff to establish two fixed rate capital loans with CIBC as follows: $198,000 for the new ball field at 5% interest renewable after 5 years, and $128,000 for the SCBA at 5% interest renewable after 5 years.
Thank you, Jennifer. Discussion on the issue.
These loans,
Please go ahead.
Jen, are open, so if there is something comes along, we can piggyback off of another grant or something, they could be paid ahead of time. They're not like Ontario Works where you're committed to the term.
I don't know, but I do have Richard on standby if there are questions, so
Well,
I
I'd
can.
see, obviously, I'm pretty sure. I was just, excuse me, no matter what, we have to do it, so.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Fine. Thank you. Any further comments, questions? The breakdown he provided in the report, if everybody had the opportunity to review it.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Item number 15 under 15.1, bylaws. Bylaw number 2099, amending agreement number 1, transfer payment agreement TPA, investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, Community Culture and Recreation Stream. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Shinneman, Councilor Peter Kistemaker, please.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2099, being a bylaw to amend a transfer payment agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne and His Majesty the King in right of the Province of Ontario, represented by the Minister of Infrastructure, regarding the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, Community Culture and Recreation Stream Project, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed.
Any discussion on the issue? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Item 16, motions and notices of motion. Being none, we'll proceed. Item 17, adjournment. Bylaw number 2100, confirmatory. Please, mover, please, and a seconder. Councilor Shinneman, Councilor Peter Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2100, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their regular meeting held on Wednesday, November 27th, 2024, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed.
All in favor? Carried. Item 17.2, adjourn meeting. Mover, please, and a seconder. Councilor Peter Kistemaker. Councilor Shinneman.
Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, November 27th, 2024 at 9:20 p.m.
All in favor? Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Well done.
Thanks.